Hello. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. Your active participation is an essential part of effective school operations. We'll begin the evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'll first go with a few operation details. So during this public hearing, I'll invite a member of the board to speak about the financial articles on the proposed warrant. Once a particular warrant has been read and additional information provided, the floor is open for public feedback. So the main purpose of a public hearing is for the board to hear from you all public feedback on the proposed budget and warrant. We will attempt to provide clarifications. This session is not intended to be a back and forth discussion. If you have questions that are not addressed to your satisfaction, please contact your board member, the board chair, or the SAU office. As always, we hope to maintain respect and decorum. This year's warrant is organized in the following manner. Article 1 deals with the choosing of a moderator for the 2026 annual meeting. Article 2 is why the polls will be open on Thursday, March 5th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for school board elections. And voting happens in the gymnasium, excuse me. Article 3 is by petition to change from the traditional meeting format to SB2 format. Article 4 deals with the operating budget. Tom Liberty, Chair of the Finance Committee, will provide an overview of the proposed budget. Article 5 is the MVEA, that's the teaching staff, collectively bargained agreement. Jessica Wheeler-Russell, who is Chair of the MVSD negotiating committees, will speak to this proposed agreement. Article 6 provides for a special meeting should Article 5 be defeated. Article 7 is a request to establish a revolving fund for improvement and renovations to the Merrimack Valley Learning Center by utilizing tuition money from out-of-district students. Article 8, Tom will speak to Article 8, which is a request to raise and appropriate money to the Special Education Expendable Trust Fund. Article 9, Tom will speak to Article 9, which is a request to raise and appropriate money to the Maintenance Expendable Trust. Article 10 is by petition to authorize the SAU 46 School Board to update the district charter to allow the merger of Salisbury and Webster Elementary Schools. Article 11 is by petition to raise and appropriate $0 for the expenses of maintenance, renovations, repairs, and improvements to the property known as the Washington Street School. Article 12 includes boilerplate language that allows for other business to be addressed at the annual meeting. Article 4, 5, 8, and 9 deal with requested appropriations. These articles are all embedded in the following presentation. Tom will present Article 4, followed by Jessica, Article 5, and then Tom will present Articles 8 and 9. We will elicit feedback following the presentation of each article. Okay?
We good? All right. So thank you. Before I start, I want to thank everybody that was helpful to me in helping us get a presentation on the screen tonight. There was a lot that went into it, obviously, with what we have for the play. It wasn't easy, but we have it, and I'm very thankful for that. So I want to thank everybody that contributed to that. Tonight, going to go over this presentation. For people that are watching at home, I don't know if you can see this or not, but for the people at home or if you're watching after this live presentation, you can find this slideshow so that you can follow along with it. It's on the Merrimack Valley School District website right on the front. If you go down, you will find it there and you can follow along at home. So this is kind of important that you have this slideshow. This is not going to be shown at the annual meeting. This is, as Tracy said, this is our opportunity to share with you, and this is our share, an opportunity for you to provide feedback to this. Actually, I'm going to go down one more step here, just so I can see my notes. So these slides are broken up into 3 sections. So you have a section on the operating budget. When that's done, we'll field questions and comments. And then there's a section on the CBA, and then same thing, we'll stop and field questions. And then the last part of the 2 expendable trusts. I am going to give you like the kind of the 500-foot view. There is more detail if you go into the website, and the district's done a very nice job. If you go up to the front page up top, there's a little button up there. I think it says 26, 27 budget. You can click in there and you can get into the weeds in there. So they got all kinds of information, all the communications that have gone out the last several, 5 or 6 weeks, but in the most recent is the budget. So if you want to take a look at the line by line, it's all in there, and you can ask any question you want tonight. But for me, you're going to get the kind of the big view. All right. So just a little knowledge of Merrimack Valley. We got about 2,100 kids here. We got 226 teachers. We got 240 support staff. So that's not just your paraprofessionals, that's your custodians, that's your kitchen people and whomever else. We got 8 schools, and we got an SAU office. Okay, just a little information, cost per pupil. What I did here on this slide is I wanted to show you where Merrimack Valley was as compared to communities that we touch. I put Bow in there, kind of so I didn't look like a homer, and that you know, they're close to us and they're a little bit less than us. But if you look at everybody else, we spend less per child. And I added Winnisquam in there. Even though we don't touch them, we do send our kids there to the CTE program. So I added them. In that graph over there to the right, you can see that red line. That is the New Hampshire average, and you can see where we sit. We are on the left over there under that average. Oh, I did want to say one thing about questions. So obviously you can ask questions today, but the beauty about tonight is that we have about another month before that we're actually going to vote. So Sam and I talked, and you can ask any question. You can ask everybody, you know, up on the stage and the administrators any questions you have. You don't have to wait until the annual meeting. Please send them off to us now. We will respond. If you have a, you know, it's likely you're going to leave and say, should ask this question. You're going to look at materials and you may not have something in there that you understand. Just ask as you go, and we'll respond. Okay. You ready, Sam? Oh, geez, I got to read the warrant. My bad. So Article 4, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $51,893,330 for the support of schools, the salaries of the school district officials and agents, and for the payment of statutory obligations of said district. This article does not include appropriations voted in other warrant articles. Majority vote required. The school board recommends this article. Okay, thank you, Sam. Okay, just a little bit here about our budget. There's 836 lines to it. 708 of them have no change. So you have a few that go down and you get a few that go up. So consequently, I'm giving you the big view. Everything I talk about today, I'm not going to talk about specific lines, but everything I talk about today is embedded in all of those lines. So you're going to get the major changes. I'm going to talk about those. Obviously giving you some added verbal, and again, ask questions that you feel necessary. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the development of this because it's very important. So we had 11 finance committee meetings. So the finance committee was myself, was Tracy Bricky, Julia Jones, Laura Vincent, and Melissa Muzzy. We met 11 times, and pretty much November through December 15th we met every single Monday. But there was a lot that went in between that. I know that Sam, I had a million questions for him. We had virtual meetings, him and I, person meetings, and just a lot of back and forth. So there was a lot of effort. I just want you to know a lot of effort put into this. Let me just grab the water. So we also had informational meetings in all the communities. So we went to the communities and spoke at select board meetings. We went to the Pennacook Village Association and met with them, and we just met as recently as Monday night at Webster, and we just talked about where we were at that time with the budget. That was a good outreach for us. And I just want to say, I talked about the Finance Committee, but every single person up here had a piece of this budget. So if they weren't on the Finance Committee, they were going to meetings of the Finance Committee, and everybody might have even participated in those community outreaches. So everybody up here was part of this process, and I'm very thankful for that. But I am going to make one special call out. Jessica Wheeler-Russell, who was not on the Finance Committee, came to every single meeting, and she went to every single one of those outreach meetings as the at-large person, and she was wonderful. When I couldn't answer questions, she could. So a little special thank you to her. Did I miss anything? Nope. Okay. So here it is. There's a big number, 51,893,330. So it's a 3.3% increase from the adjusted budget of 2026. So it's almost $1.7 million more. So the previous budget last year was $50,195,000. So just a little reference. So last year we had a budget reduction at town meeting, and that reduction was $1.9 million. So we're asking actually for less this year than was reduced last year. So this is how it works. So there's the budget. We've said that enough. And then we get revenues. And we'll talk about those revenues in a little bit. But we get money from various ways, and then we have state aid. So state aid is two things. It's swept, so that's the little educational tax that you get on your bill, and also we get what's called adequacy money, and that's kind of what they call the free money, and that's money the state has. They get that from business taxes, they get that from lottery, they get it from tobacco, alcohol, so that's kind of where the adequacy money comes from. So as a district, it says we have $15 million put in as state aid. And so the total appropriation is a little over $33 million, and that is taxation. So some of the increases, the big one, right? Health and dental. This is not a Merrimack Valley issue, but it is a statewide issue, the amount of money that gets increased every single year. So for us, we had a 9.8% increase in health, and we had a 4.4% increase in dental. That comes out to 14.2%, and when you put it to all our employees, it comes a little north of 1.1 million. And for your reference, our school districts, their number one resource is human beings, and that is about 78% of our budget, so that's why that number is where it is. Food service is up $475,000, so that number has just been under budgeted in the past years. It's been budgeted at $750,000. We spend about 1.2-ish to feed our kids, so this is just putting that number up so it matches it equals what we actually spend. Excuse me. Contractually, last year when we had reductions, our teachers volunteered to take some money out of the budget that was contractual obligations. Those are back in, and a lot of that is reimbursement for professional development and graduate courses. Curriculum and programs. So last year we reduced some programs. Big one was a summer program for elementary kids, and also some curriculum resources were taken. Technology, that was reduced last year, so we put more in this year, and that is a lot for security. That is computers, that is Chromebooks, licenses, and I feel like I'm missing something, Sam. One more? Licensing's a big one, okay. Then we got NHRS and FICA. So NHRS stands for the New Hampshire Retirement System. So when salaries go up, so does the multiplier. So that has gone up. That's about, for a teacher, that's about 19.24%. So for every dollar, we have to pay another 19 cents. FICA is Social Security and Medicare. So that's a federal tax. So that's up 145,000. Facilities, we reduced the budget last year by $100,000. We're putting 80 of it back in. Be honest, it's not enough, but we're putting 80 back in. Utilities is another thing that's been underfunded for the past several years. That's a combination of oil, wood chips, propane, electricity, probably others. So again, trying to match what we spend with what we budget. And the SAU, so that's the cost of running the SAU. Merrimack Valley pays 87% of those costs, and Andover pays 13%. So decreases, federal grants is a revenue, and it was in the expense line, so that got removed. Separation pay, this is just what is expected for people who are probably going to leave at the end of the year. They expect the separation pay to go down $184,000. Middle school tuition to be reduced by $167,000. That is, a lot of that is out-of-district placements. Contract transportation, Sam, is that correct? Is that part of special education too? Yes. Okay, so that would be part of special education too, just less need. Vehicle replacement is less with leases, and then phones is $10,000 less there. So revenue estimates, so from the federal government, $710,000, I just talked about that. Those are revenues. Medicaid, that's reimbursement for students with special needs who receive certain services, and child nutrition. We get money there. From the state, we get special ed aid. We get phase-out grants. Now, phase-out grants is with the EFAs. You've heard about them probably in the news, but there's a 2-year plan with that, so any money that the districts have to pay for EFAs because their students receive them, first year, 50% of that money goes back to the district. The next year, 25% of that money goes back to the district, and it's over. So there's a little bit of money we get from there. Vocational transportation and child nutrition. And lastly, locally, so we have tuition there. That's two things. So part of that is tuition that we receive for students who go to the Merrimack Valley Learning Center. And the other part is for Andover. Andover is probably about $1 million of that, right in that ballpark for the high school students that come to Merrimack Valley. Food sales, what we make, and then rent, and that is the charter school pays rent to be at the Learning Center. Okay, so proposed budgets. There are no new positions. They have not asked for a new position. Last year, there was 19 positions reduced from the town meeting vote, and 2 of them have been replaced, and those 2 positions are library assistants at the middle school and the high school. I think they come to about $55,000, $60,000 in total, and there's no unfilled positions, so there's no positions that are budgeted that they don't have a plan to put a person in. Okay, so that's it in summary. So what does it look like for an increase in your taxes in your town? I don't need to read them, you can see them. And those are estimated. Okay, I think that was the last slide, Sam. Okay. So Tracy, do I just open up for questions, or is that you? Okay, we welcome your feedback and we welcome your questions. I think you got to go up to the mic. Yeah. I'm going to sit up here, Sam.
Is it? Oh, it is on. Okay. That's all right. I think I need to tell you who I am and where I live. I'm Lee Laughlin. I'm from Loudon. I have a question about the technology. I've been here 20 years. And early on, I was absolutely a big proponent of using the technology in the schools. Certainly my kids with visual impairment had great access to it, and it made a huge difference in their education. But as I am reading some of the more current studies, especially at the elementary school level, I'm seeing more and more articles talking about the detriment of it. And I mean, certainly we can talk about cell phones till the cows come home. And that process, that program, that implementation of cutting cell phones went so much better than I thought it would. But moving back down to the elementary level, I wonder, is there any talk of reducing the technology at the elementary level? I know that there isn't a one-to-one until 5th grade, but I'm just curious. I mean, the kids need it. I'm not saying that we should eliminate it. I'm definitely not going back to Luddite stage. But I do find, and I think people can agree too, that our kids today, they don't know how to write. They don't know how to do it without the computer. And I still think that's an important skill, so I'm just curious.
So through the reductions that happened last year, we actually will no longer be a one-to-one at the elementary school level moving forward. We do have technology access to all of our students, but it's something that we use to supplement and to support instruction. It is not a primary tool for instruction, and it certainly is not something that our students are spending the majority of their day on. I do think our students know how to read and write, and that's certainly something that we spend a lot of time focusing on without technology. We have some pretty talented teachers. We're pretty lucky.
Can you hear me? There it is. I'm Jennifer Chase. I'm in Pennacook here, and I'm noticing a lot of the reductions seem to be coming in. I see the special ed tuition and travel down 167,000, and then there was another reduction around travel and tuition. And I'm just curious if that has to do with the fact that we don't have to send students to other districts if we're able to put them in the Learning Center.
Hi, yes, so there have been some changes as can happen in special ed daily. So overall, those changes are reflected in those numbers.
Okay, so it's more about less students being in the special ed program, or?
Or different places as well.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Hines, Bosquen. I think Sam will probably be the one to field this question. So you took the $710,000 out of federal money from the budget side, but you're still showing it here on the revenue side, as well as the $30,000 for rent from the Learning Center, CSI. Those go away. They literally get taken out when we get to the 24R. So this is kind of the 24. When we get to October, there'll be a reconciliation. That 710 will go out, and you can see it right here on the last page, where last year that 710 wasn't there, and now it is. And I'll tell you that it will go away this year in October, and it will have no benefit to the taxpayers. So you took it out on one side. Don't you have to take it out on the other side? And then specifically to the tuition or the rent, why not leave that in there too, so that taxpayers get the benefit of it? Because that goes out every October as well.
So let me start with the rent first. I don't think rent was actually put in there in the past, Bill, because it will still be in there this fall when we do the 24R. The 710 last time was actually, when I spoke to the DRA, spoke to the auditors, it was in the wrong location. So it'll now be in the appropriate location under the federal grants for that 24R, so that still should remain when we do it in the fall.
Dana Flanders, Loudon, New Hampshire. I'm looking at Article 10. I realize it is by a petition. I'd just like to hear Randy and Catherine and maybe the school board members' thoughts on whether this is a good idea for the district or not.
So right now, we're still on Article 4, so we need to finish Article 4. But are there any questions on Article 4, the operating budget? Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hello, good evening. I'm here to discuss Article 4, which reads, Article 5. My notes are wrong. To see if the school district will approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Merrimack Valley School Board and the Merrimack Valley Education Association, which calls for the following estimated increases in salaries and benefits. For the 26-27 school year, $765,708. For the 2027-28 school year, $692,098. For the 28-29 school year, $667,602. And further to raise and appropriate the sum of $708 for the 26-27 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional cost attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at the current staffing levels. The school board recommends this article. So I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak with you about all the educators who come under this agreement, from the teachers to nurses to counselors and more. All of us here tonight are aware of the challenges attracting high-quality educators. With this in mind, the Merrimack Valley School Board and the Merrimack Valley Education Association worked together to bring forward a collectively bargained agreement to MV voters. The primary goal with this 3-year proposal is simple: attract and retain qualified educators by moving our salaries into more competitive regional range. Currently, our district ranks 7th out of 8th in starting salaries for teachers with a bachelor's degree, and for those with master's degree, we currently rank last. This agreement is a strategic step towards closing that gap. An overview of this contract: the total estimated investment of this 3-year agreement is $2,125,408, which includes the salary, New Hampshire retirement system contributions, and FICA, which is payroll tax. Including the amounts for retirement and FICA, or payroll tax, is the new approach that is in line with best practices. So you'll notice the article looks a little different than in years past. That's why. So the investment is structured as follows. For the 26-27 school year, a 4.18% average increase, and the cost is made up of $603,490 for salaries, $116,051 for retirement, and $46,167 for FICA payroll tax, which totals $65,708. Year 2, the 27-28 school year, a 3.63% average increase. That cost is made up of $545,474 for salaries, $104,895 for retirement, and $41,729 for FICA. Year 3, which is the 28-29 year, a 3.38% average increase. The cost is made up of $526,168 for salaries, $101,182 for retirement, and $40,252 for FICA, totaling $667,602 for that year. In addition to that, if Sam, you can move on to the next slide, and I'm going to have you go back to this one. The other items that were negotiated in the contract but are not subject to the warrant article, I thought it would be important to note that there are other things involved in these. We added an additional professional development day. We overhauled sick time into paid time off to clarify language for staff and admin. We aligned class coverage language for K through 12. We added an opportunity for elementary teachers to be compensated for setting up their classrooms before school begins. And we have established liquidated damage fees for faculty seeking a release from the contract after June 1st, and to discourage mid-year departures that disrupt student learning. This agreement represents steady progress, and while we still face a challenge in matching the top-tier salaries of the region, this contract provides the stability and competitive growth necessary to keep our best educators in the Merrimack Valley school system. And I now open the floor for feedback on this article.
Hello, David Hemingway Webster. And I want to start by stating that I support these types of agreements and I support our teachers. And so this is a good step forward in my opinion. However, I do want to talk about one thing that you mentioned on the second slide of this, which is the professional development days. I fully support teachers having professional development days and being paid for them. One thing that I was kind of shocked to notice without being informed about was that when my daughter came home from school for one of the days in the past weeks, she had had a day of basically worksheets and the teacher was out of the school for professional development day during a learning in school day. Now, I know that is not this particular agreement, so my comment there is please look at addressing this in policy so that when our kids are in school, they get to keep their teachers, because our teachers are good and they are the asset. Thank you.
Hi, I just want to ask, Trudy Mott-Smith from Loudon. I wanted to ask for two definitions of the non-financial aspect of the contract. What does K-12 alignment mean? And can you explain the last item about liquidated damages?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can explain the last one off the top of my head, which is that language kind of allows the administration to have more teeth if a staff member breaks contract before, or Kathleen, if you can remember when that date actually was.
May 31st. So
After, oh, go right ahead.
So right now, there's language that there's a percent charge to people leaving the district, breaking their contract after June 1st, July 1st, and August 1st. It's called breach of contract penalty. Our legal counsel advised us that we should change it to liquidated damages. So we're using liquidated damages moving forward. Same percentages, same dates, June, July, August.
And then your second question was on the K-12 class coverage alignment. So there was a number of items that were discussed about classroom coverage and management. Some of this was changing up preparation time and for K through 12, the elementary school teacher prep and the middle school teacher prep. And then allowing our elementary school classroom teachers to have an extra day to, or rather get compensated for spending an extra day before the school year starts to prepare their classrooms. And then there were some different languages around, PTO, but I don't believe that's actually covered under that item.
Jess, can I jump in?
Go right ahead.
So the K-12 alignment is just clarifying language from elementary to middle school to high school teachers and how we perform coverage and what we pay for coverage. That's what it means. So now K-12, all the teachers are basically on the same plan instead of having 3 different ones.
About the liquidated damages.
So all liquidated damages does is it allows us to use a collection agency instead of the Human Resources Department, Kathleen, continually reaching out to teachers after teacher to get them to pay their breach of contract fee. So now we can turn that over to a collection agency to do the work for us.
Thank you for asking that. I appreciate it. I see no further questions, so thank you very much.
So I'll read the two articles for the expendable trusts. Article 8, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500,000 to be added to the Special Education Expendable Trust Fund previously established for the purposes of supporting student service. Majority vote required. The school board recommends this article. And Article 9, I'm going to read them together. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to be added to the Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund previously established for the purposes of maintaining school buildings and grounds. Majority vote required. The school board recommends this article. So expendable trusts, here's their purpose: to save money for high-cost, unexpected expenses, to help stabilize your taxes. So if we get a big bill for something that we didn't expect, you can go to the expendable trust to withdraw money to help pay for it. And if you don't have enough money, you can have to have a special meeting in the town or in the district to raise that money, and this prevents this, and it's a safety net. So special education, we're asking for $500,000 to be put into that. There's currently not a cent in there. So if you remember last year, we had the deficit, and we removed $500,000 that we had in there to help with that, and we just want to replenish that. The maintenance fund, so I'll tell you, part of this conversation we had in the Finance Committee was we want to support our schools, but we also know that we can't have everything that we want in 1 year. So we understand that in the next 5 years, if you look at the CIP plan that's on the district site, it's $10.8 million in projects. If you look at just next year, it's just a little shy of $1 million that the district needs for certain things. So I know that there's $194,000 requested for sidewalks and parking. I know that there's $475,000 for the roof here at the high school, and there's another big one is at Loudon, electrical work for $129,000. So there's a lot of money that needs to be used to upkeep our buildings. So there is currently $800,000 in that expendable trust. The budget has $600,000 in a combination of site and building improvements, which funds many other things than what I just shared. So as we try to put money into these trusts, we also are trying to put money that, quite frankly, you'll approve. So we didn't put millions of dollars into these trusts. Instead, we're looking to build over the years. Okay. So just some things about it. So a little bit of a different approach. The district in the past has tried to use fund balances, so meaning that at the end of the school year, when there is money that is not been spent, they can take that money and put it into expendable trusts. Instead, we're just putting it out there. We're putting it into warrants. That way we don't have a great big huge budget to put another $700,000 in the operating budget. Instead, we're just putting it out there in warrants to be voted on. So you can see we added those two with those specific amounts. And I just want to speak a little bit about this special education. That is, it truly is unpredictable, and it truly is a wild card. If somebody moves into the district with high needs, or a family moves into the district, that a child is placed out of district, we take that on. And I think Julie and her team has done a wonderful job. We atypically, our special ed has not gone up this year. It's been pretty consistent to last year, but that doesn't mean that we will not have a situation that we need to draw some money from. So that is why that one has the larger amount in it. So I talked a little bit about the current CIP, and the last thing I want to say is I just think this approach of doing these 3 financial warrants with the 2 expendable trusts and the operating budget, they go hand in hand, but I think it gives you clarity exactly where that money's going to go. It gives the district clarity exactly how much money will go into those trusts, and as a voter, you know, it helps you decide what you want to support. So I really like this approach, and I'm glad we went down this direction. And I will open it up for any questions or comments.
Lisa Laughlin from Loudon. Question about special ed funding. My understanding, well, it is mandated, as you mentioned, if we have a high need student move into the district, we are required to cover those costs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If that money is not in the budget and it is not in the expendable trust fund, then what?
So that's a really good question. So the way it works is we don't immediately change a placement for a student, but when a student moves into district and is already placed somewhere else, we do have a say in the decision making as to whether we would keep that child in that program. Of course, we don't know the child yet, so we take our time. But there is always the possibility that we may have, say, a program in-house, like our Learning Center, that would not only be a cost savings, but would also be less restrictive for the child because it would be in their home community. To answer your question, as far as if there's no funding and we're bound under law to provide something, I'm going to turn that over to someone else.
So we would, Lisa, we'd go over in that line, and we'd be running in the red in that particular line, and we would hope to absorb it from lines that we haven't gone to the full amount, which is why we've been talking about for the last couple of years of shooting for a 10% fund balance at the end of each year to have that sort of buffer for exactly that, which is why we are hoping to have an expendable trust that is funded to a point that would, you know, take care of exactly the situation that you're describing. Because if we didn't have a fund balance and we didn't have that expendable trust, we still need to come up with that money, and that would lead to a deficit.
To be clear, I am wholly in favor of this article. I actually I'm not in favor of pulling it out from the budget. I think it is just something that we have to expect to fund. So I would just wanted to sort of play that out for people so they understand the process, that this gets funded one way or another, and this is the more financially responsible way to do it, is to put it in now when we don't need it and let it sit there.
You're exactly right. Thank you.
Dave Hemingway, Webster again. I want to say thank you for finally making the warrant articles sensible so that they are actually asking for the amount that you're expecting to put into the trust funds instead of randomly from a fund balance that may or may not actually exist. The second question I have is, you've pointed out here that with the CIP and the multiple projects, the $200,000 is not the appropriate amount to fund them. And yes, that will fund it by basically draining it and setting it to zero for the next year. what does that look like for the years afterwards? Obviously, you have to make up for more if you need to do projects. And so what is the expectation for the following years for the funding for this particular trust fund? And or what should it be set to if it's going to stay salient through the entire time instead of fluctuating rapidly?
As Tom and Liberty said, we have a lot of things to do. We have a big district. We have a lot of assets that we need to take care of. And $200,000 isn't enough. For this coming year, we have $800,000 in the Maintenance Expendable Trust currently, and that will be enough to take care of the 3 or 4 things that we have planned for next year. The amount's got to go up, you know, or there's going to be separate warrant articles. And if the people want to, hopefully they vote for it. I mean, it's just common sense. You got to take care of what you got. And most of the money in the coming years are roofs and HVAC. So the kids got to have fresh air and they got to have protection from the elements. So I'm assuming I won't be here, unfortunately. But that's the way it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be separate warrant articles, and you know, I don't know what we'll do if those are voted down. I can't imagine, you know, logic not overcoming common sense, but.
Yeah, Dave, just to add to that, we have talked at the Finance Committee meetings at the possibility of, I'll just use an example of HVAC. Let's just say there was $750,000 for a project, or $1 million, instead of trying to put money into an expendable trust, just simply warrant that whole project. And I think that's what Fred was alluding to. And as he said, I don't know what will happen if that warrant doesn't go through, but we've talked about that as a possibility too.
HVAC, just to piggyback on what Tom said, if you look at the CIP, HVACs, pick a school, it doesn't make any difference, but if the people go and look at the CIP, like the high school, for example, starting 27, 28, there's like 800,000. You know, $800,000 will just about cover one air handling unit. And one air handling unit normally would cover 8 to 10 classrooms. And, you know, you put that you add that to the middle school, Loudon, Bosquen, there's a lot of HVAC, and unfortunately, we're mandated to have that stuff. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah, so the point that I would make here is that, okay, if you're going to fund things individually, but then you end up with a single year where things spike by $1 or more million. And I apologize, I have not had the time to go dive into the CIP this year, but if I remember correctly, when I did the calculations last year, I was expecting that what we would actually need to put into this fund was somewhere around 450 to 500 every year going forward in order for that to mostly even out for the amounts. So I would strongly suggest that you look at that so that we don't end up with a sudden spike in tax rates in a couple years. Thank you.
Bill Hines, Bosquen. Just a comment, or I want to point something out to our peers here, that it's important to understand why we're changing this. I think the why is important. And where we have previously funded this with a fund balance, there is going to be no fund balance for the ensuing number of years, because we're approximately still $900,000 to the negative on the fund. And so if we have extra, if we're able to save and have extra, then that just goes to pay down that fund balance. So it's important to understand that that's why this strategy is being taken, is to outright raise and appropriate these funds from the taxpayer.
Yeah, so what Bill was saying is if we, let's say this year we have a $250,000 fund balance, that goes to pay off $900,000 left on the deficit. But I would say, Bill, that is not the only reason that we did this. We did this strategically, as I stated before, that we want to know exactly how much is going to go in there, and we just want to lay it out to the voters. So there's more than just because we have a deficit.
So does that mean at some time in the future when there are fund balances, you're going to give it back to us?
I'm not running for school board, Bill. That's a question for somebody else.
Dave Hemingway, one more time.
Just one comment about when there is a fund balance, that does go to offset taxes in the following year. So the answer to that is yes, regardless of who's on the board, whatever that fund balance is. Like when I gave the number of 10%, if we have a 10% fund balance, that goes to offset taxes in the following year.
So that's Dave Hemingway again. That's actually a perfect segue to my question, which is somewhat, it's about funds, but not necessarily these trust funds. I was just wondering if there could be a update given on the contingency fund that was voted in, because that comes out of the fund balances and similar. And if there's a better time to do that, that's fine. Thank you.
The only update is without a fund balance, there can be no contingency fund.
Okay, let's move on with the slides. So this is what it looks, oh, I'm sorry, there's the 4 financial warrants. You already know that. So this is what it looks like if they all go through. So, you know, just looking at Bosquen, you can go across. The SPET is the special education, and the MET is the maintenance expendable trust. So I'm just going to leave that slide up there for about 10 more seconds so you can take a look at your community. And we're going to kind of go through the next ones a little bit rapid fire and just explain. And again, you have this. So you ready, Sam? And this is estimated. And I'm going to tell you a little something that I think that budgeting has been done very conservatively. So meaning that I think these numbers are actually a little high personally. So I'm going to go back to that $15 million of adequacy. That number is actually smaller than the state calculation that they give you. So the state calculation is very convoluted, but you can go on the DOE and you can find it, how they do it. They have a 28-minute video you can watch, and you can go look at your lines. The state recommends out of that adequacy that you budget only 95% of that. That's what they ask you to do, safety, because you're guaranteed to get 95%. So 95% of the Merrimack Valley adequacy was $15 million. There's 5% of that we didn't budget in there as revenue, which offsets your taxes. I get it. If I'm a BA, I get it. I'm right there with them. But I just want you to know that's kind of the low mark. So there's possibility that we're going to get, all of your towns are going to get more adequacy, meaning that those numbers are going to go down if that's the case. Or on the budget side, that number will go down if that's the case. So when you go through, if you got a $400,000 home, again, this is estimated. I believe these numbers are a little bit higher than they actually will be. But that's just my belief. I could be wrong. So Loudon, this is what you're looking at. Pennacook, this one's a little tougher. And I'll say that if we did budget 100 adequacy, which I'll say again, the state advised us not to do, that 756 would be $220 less than it is right here. Salisbury, and these are increases. These are increases, estimated increase. And lastly, Webster, there you are. So that's what it looks like. That's it. Okay. Tracy, you taking over?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. So we received 3 petitioned warrant articles. So petitioned warrant articles are articles that were brought forward by a petition of at least 25 signatures. I will read those. The board has not seen them, has not had a chance. The deadline for petitioned warrant articles was yesterday. So I think we got 2 yesterday, 1 yesterday, and the others a couple days before. But anyway, it doesn't matter when we got them. The board has not had a chance to discuss them yet. But the first petition warrant article is Article 3. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 40:13, known as SB2, to allow official ballot voting on all issues before the Merrimack Valley School District on the second Tuesday in March? It's by petition. It's a 3/5 majority ballot vote required. Most of the articles are just a majority, but that one is a 3/5. Article 10, to see if the district will vote to authorize the SAU number 46 school board to update the district charter to allow the merger of the elementary grades K-5 of Salisbury and Webster into a single consolidated elementary school facility, and to further authorize the school board to enter into necessary agreements and take all other actions necessary to effectuate this consolidation to commence with the 2027-2028 school year, for the purpose of creating operational efficiencies, enhancing educational programming and the student learning experience, reducing administrative overhead, and providing equitable resources for all students in both communities. By petition, and a majority vote is required. And Article 11, to raise and appropriate $0 for the expenses of maintenance, renovations, repairs, and improvements to the property known as the Washington Street School, located at 26 Washington Street, Pennacook, New Hampshire, 03303. No Merrimack Valley School District monies appropriated in the 2026-2027 budget, nor any monies appropriated in the 26 school district warrant articles, nor any monies in trust funds, nor monies by transfer of funds, nor any monies received by any means such as gifts or grants will not be expended for used maintenance, renovations, repairs, or improvements to the property known as the Washington Street School, located at 26 Washington Street, Pennacook, New Hampshire, 03303. That's also by petition, and a majority vote is required.
Julie Ned Webster. Quick question. Several years ago, there was a study done for Webster Salisbury Elementary Schools. Can we resurrect that to the website so we can educate ourselves? I don't remember what all the pros and cons were.
He's going to say that.
If you go to the reports and studies section under the school board tab, the 2021 small school study is there,
Perfect, thank you.
as well as the 2013 study.
Dan Nudd, Webster. Are these warrant articles advisory, or are they, if the voters pass them, do they go through?
They are advisory.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of SB2, which is by ballot vote, 3/5 majority.
Bill Hines, Bosquen, meaning they carry no weight, meaning the school board or the governing body, which is the school board, could not abide by them? Is that what you mean by advisory?
That is correct.
Hi, I'm Katie Fuller from Webster. So I know you guys haven't had a chance to talk about it. My little girl goes to kindergarten this year in Webster, so I have a special interest in what happens. Do you know, if we were to vote and pass this, who goes where? Because it's potentially setting them up to get comfortable in Webster and go to Salisbury and vice versa.
So as I said, we just barely got these, so we haven't had a chance to discuss them. But as Julie spoke about, we have done two small school studies, and both of those reports are on the website, the Merrimack Valley School District website. So if you go to mvsd.org and click on the school board tab and then go down to reports, what is it, reports and studies. And both of those studies are there and you can see, but we haven't had a chance to even talk about that.
Okay, and then, pardon my ignorance, who would I reach out to with just further questions?
You can reach out to me as the school board chair. You can reach out to any of the administrative staff, Catherine or Randy or Sam, and your representatives in Webster are Melissa Muzzy, Jessica is the at-large, and David Nesbitt is also one of your representatives.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, so thank you all for your support and interest. Your feedback has a great impact on the budget and warrant that is brought to our annual meeting. The MVSD board will be reconvening their recessed January board meeting in a few moments. Please feel free to remain with us for that meeting. Thank you.
I just want to.
Tracy, did we do Article 7? We have a taxpayer that is asking about Article 7.
So that's not a warrant where we raise and appropriate funds, so that's not part of the budget hearing itself.
Okay, you're just. Yeah, so I would disagree because it is stating that you're going to restrict and take all of the revenues, which are part of the budget, and not put them into the budget and the general lines and revenues. So I would disagree. Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. So we will reconvene the board meeting from January 5th. Candy, roll call?
Tracy Bricky,
Here.
Sally Hirsch Dickinson.
Here.
Tom Liberty,
Here.
Melissa Muzzy.
Pull it toward you.
I think I got it that time. Here. There. Is that better? Oh,
Yes,
much better.
thank you,
Okay.
Candy.
Melissa Muzzy,
Here.
Jessica Wheeler Russell.
Here.
Laura Vincent. Here. David Nesbitt.
Here.
Julia Jones.
Present.
Stacy Jarvis.
Here.
Lorna Carlisle.
Here.
Amanda York.
Here.
Thank you. First is public comment on the agenda items. The agenda is discussion of public hearing, action on the proposed 2026-27 budget. Those are the only two things on the agenda. Thank you, Noel. I mean, Heather. I don't know why I said that. It's been a long day, Heather.
I'm right there with you. It may not be an agenda thing, but for those of us that watch at home, when you go into non-public session, it gets really annoying checking back to see if you've come back to the live feed. Maybe make that first thing or the last thing you do. Just a
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? So, I'll open it up to discussion of the public hearing then. That's for us to discuss the public hearing.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody have any comments?
Would that include all the warrant articles or just the budget?
No, all of it.
Yeah, and the warrant articles too. Bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if it's too far away. Can you hear me?
You bring it closer.
Yeah. I just have questions, but I think maybe if I look at those small school studies, because I'm just kind of wondering how is it going to work for the Webster Salisbury? I'm wondering in my head, like, does Salisbury go to Webster? Does Webster go to Salisbury? I mean, so would that be part of the previous studies?
So I can tell you that the previous studies they give options, so they don't dictate what the board should do. I think the 21 study laid out either 4 or 5 options for the board. The board at that time decided not to look at consolidating and closing, one or both of the schools. So that took, I think, 3 of the options off the table. But that study does give some ideas and some thoughts. They did some listening sessions with folks from both communities, teachers and staff from both communities, and discussed different things. So, for instance, making one be a K2 and one a 3-5 and some of those sorts of things. They were looking at beyond just cost, but that was one of the things from the 21 study. But that would be something, if the board wanted to go in that direction after the annual meeting, if the, let's say it was overwhelming, from the voters and the board wanted to move in that direction, then I'm not sure about the possibility of 28, 29 as it was listed, but the board would have to look into all of that and sort of dig into what might be the best configuration.
Okay, all right.
Anyone else?
Can I jump on Article 10? I just have a
Sure.
language question, I guess. So the article reads to see if the district will vote to authorize the SAU school board, 46 school board to update the district charter.
Pardon me?
I'm reading the first line. I'm trying to understand the article. I think I understand the intent of the article, but the language of the article that says that we would be allowed to update the charter. However, I need someone to explain to me the process of updating the charter, because as far as I understood it, the voting body of the community had to update it, so this would be out of compliance with law? I'm really confused.
I don't think it's the board's, under the board's purview to rate whether the petitioned warrant articles are legal or anything like that. As we said, they are advisory. I think maybe if the board focuses on, whether the budget and the expendable trusts and the CBA, and they want to continue moving forward, if they didn't hear anything from the public hearing that would make them want to change, then I think moving ahead with those four instead of trying to dig into the petition warrant articles that didn't come from this board might be the best thing moving forward.
Can I ask, just really procedure?
Speak
I'm
into
sorry,
the
thank you.
microphone.
Yeah, so you got, we got warrants here. When do we vote on every one of these warrants?
As far as tonight goes, it's really just the financial warrants that the board has worked on. So really the four that you spoke about in your presentation are the ones that the board will be voting on and putting forth. There is another warrant on there that was added that we want the board to consider, but that could also be a discussion for Monday night because this is the first time the board is seeing it, although we alluded to it a couple of meetings ago, and that is the revolving revenue fund involving the Learning Center. So I think really talking about the budget and the CBA, Maintenance Expendable Trust, and the Special Ed Expendable Trust, so that we can, as we have, the school board recommends this article, so that we can take that off of the, or make sure that that's solid, that the board agrees with what's being presented for those financial articles.
Okay, so then on February 9th, then would there be discussion? I know there's 5 public hearings for SB2. Would there still be a conversation on Monday night on SB2?
The board could discuss SB2 if they wanted to discuss the pros and cons of that, but that's by petition as well.
Yeah.
The board didn't bring that forward, so they don't have to speak about that. Although we are going to have to see if we can get a quorum to each of those meetings on those 5 dates that were sent out.
Problems.
But I think we can do that and legally be fine because we're really just setting up time, so we're not conducting business. The board knows what those dates are. We posted those in the patch yesterday so that we could do the 7 days notice. So we will be reaching out for that. There's one other potential warrant article that could be discussed on Monday night, and that is the idea behind open enrollment. Although there are things in the legislature that could make any of those moot. So that would be a discussion for the board. But so really that revolving revenue fund would be after tonight. But I think tonight, because we presented the 4 financial warrants, I think the board should weigh in on each of those.
Okay, and then Monday night, have further discussion on the warrants we don't vote for tonight and dedicate that time for that?
Yeah, except the petition warrant articles. Those aren't really for the
We don't
board.
vote, we wouldn't vote on the
No.
SB2?
No.
Okay, but we could
So
talk about it. We could talk about all of it.
So, yeah. So let's talk about Article 4. So Article 4 is the budget itself, $51,893,330. So I need a motion. I would like a motion to approve the amount, David Nesbitt and Amanda York. So a motion made by David Nesbitt to approve the budget of $51,893,330 and seconded by Amanda York. So let's have discussion about that. I didn't hear anybody say anything that they thought that this was a bad amount. I think Tom did a great job pointing out all the things that were in the budget, and we spent a long time on it. And there were people at all of those. There were townspeople and also other board members who spent time at those meetings. I think that this is probably what we go forward with. Anybody have anything else that, anybody have, David?
Just very briefly, I think that the process of as many meetings as we had open to the public and the outreach by school board members to each of the communities, I think is going to go a long way, hopefully, to having this approved by the communities. And my hat is off to the Finance Committee for their hard work on this.
Thank you.
I was just going to
Lorna?
say, the presentations on the website and everything, thank you. It's really been, it's been helpful for me, too, to just look at it. It's very clear and concise, and it makes a lot more sense to me than sometimes these massive numbers.
Thank you.
I was just going to say I agree with this amount. I do agree with what you said, that we weren't hearing from the public any major concerns or challenges in terms of like where this number came from. So I do think our communication out has been much improved, and I support us going forward with
And
this
to
one.
say for the Finance Committee, I mean, we had a lot of, we didn't always agree, that's for sure, right? And sometimes, we came to consensus, and I said this at the board meeting, if we all did it independently, we'd all have 5 different budgets. But it was really nice working with the 4 other people and everybody that contributed. And, it's hard, and I think it's important to say that, I would love this budget to be 1%, 1.5%, but the reality is it does cost money to educate kids. And I think that this budget, I feel very good about this budget and the fact that there's not places to take money from. We didn't add anything. There's no new positions, and we didn't add, 17 of those positions aren't back in, and it's a challenge to put a school budget together, and I was very happy with all the contributions from everybody on the stage, so thank you.
Anyone else have anything to say about Article 4? All right, then. I will, all those in favor of Article 4, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Perfect. Okay. Article 5 is the collective bargaining agreement with the Merrimack Valley Education Association. Again, I didn't hear it. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we.
Jess?
I make a motion that we approve Article 5 as written.
And Julia, second? Well, Julia raised her hand. Sorry. Julia, seconded. All right, now we can discuss, so go ahead. Would you want to speak to your article?
Again, I didn't really hear anything that was concerning from the audience. I think that we spent a long time working with our staff, and that there really isn't really much more to say.
Anybody else? David?
Just very briefly, as a newbie on the board, it's my first time sitting in on the negotiations, and I was impressed by the way that the two sides interacted with each other with mutual respect, with a lot of give and take. Certainly a lot less antagonism than I've seen in similar situations elsewhere. So again, tip of the hat to the negotiating team and to the members of the teaching community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, then let's vote. All those in favor of, Article 5, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then. Article 8, the maintenance, nope, I lied, is the Special Ed Expendable Trust Fund, $500,000 to be added. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Melissa, seconded by David. I thought you raised your hand, David.
I did.
Okay.
Could've been a
Sheesh.
I'm just in favor of this.
Okay. You want to speak to this, Melissa?
Just recognizing that special ed is one of those things that, like has already been said, changes on a daily basis. It is crucial that we not have this at a zero balance. And so putting back in what we had to take out last year seemed like the most reasonable and smart decision to make when we were coming up with that number. It could not be enough at some point, but it is a really great place to start, and I do appreciate that that we've changed the wording on this article so that it is a funded account versus if there's money left over, because it's crucial that we protect the district and the taxpayers in terms of like not having to keep going back for more money to cover expenses. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one else. Then all those in favor of Article 8, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okey doke. Article 9 is the Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund, raising $200,000. I would need a motion. Laura? Made by Laura, seconded by Lorna. Thank you. Anybody want to speak to that? I know that we, oh, sorry.
Well, just so I understand it, though, this is separate from the CIP, so this is, a trust fund. So again, we're trying to build up so that we
Right.
can afford to do some of these projects that need.
That are on the CIP, yes. And I know that we spent a long time discussing how much we should add to this. And realizing that there is 800,000 in there, we added 200,000 so we could make it a even million. I don't know, we talked for a long time, and Tom talked about it here. Is it enough? Maybe, maybe not. And something like the Maintenance Expendable Trust, probably we will never know if we've got enough money or not. But we can continue to try and keep building that fund so that in case something happens, we have it there.
Yeah, and part of that conversation too is the realization we got 4 warrants. It's
Right.
one of 4 warrants, so that financial warrants. So we had to. You're right. We
Tom,
talked
can you
about
move that a little closer?
Yeah,
'cause-
I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's
yeah. We
okay.
had four financial warrants, and we got to put $500,000 in there. We felt it wouldn't pass, so we went with something that we felt would work for the community.
Anyone else?
I was going to say something similar to Tom, but the idea of like we are being conscious of the impact on taxpayers with these funds. And so we did put a lot of conversation into this one in particular because we initially started with a higher number.
Yes.
Because we do recognize that there are a lot of very expensive projects coming up. But we also know this district does a really good job with looking for grants and other funding sources whenever we can, and we're going to continue to do that work. So this seemed like the most reasonable dollar amount to support trying to keep that overall number for taxpayers reasonable.
Yes. Anyone else?
As a Pennacook resident, I thank you for that.
Okay, then. All those in favor of Article 9, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay.
If I could maybe get some people to sign up here if they know.
Yep. So before we move on, so the SB2 warrant article, petitioned warrant article, it requires us to go out to every town to explain what the SB2 warrant article means to the district. And so we have Loudon Elementary School on Wednesday, February 11th. I can be there. Lorna,
What time, please?
5:30.
30?
Do we need to have a quorum?
We do need to have a quorum.
I will make all of these then.
Okay. I could be there.
Jessica, David,
This is Wednesday?
Wednesday, the 11th.
Wednesday, the 11th.
At 5:30.
We are good if all these people show.
Good and Loudon.
We're good in Loudon. Next night, Thursday, the 12th, Webster.
I'll be at Webster. Same time, right?
Same bat time. So Melissa, yep, Stacy, Jess, David, me.
I could I'm thinking it's like, I don't know how long the meeting will go, because I'm thinking I might have to leave early if it doesn't, I mean, I
It
don't.
won't be long.
It shouldn't take long.
So I think I can,
I'll be there.
Lorna and Tom. And then Friday, February 13th. Oh, Friday the 13th.
got two of those,
that's
1
typical.
March too.
Damn. Tom, Julia,
What town?
where?
What town?
Salisbury.
Salisbury, sorry.
I'll
I don't know, just show up somewhere. I don't like, yikes, everybody wants to go to that one. Sally, Jess, Stacy, Melissa, and Lorna.
Okay.
Then Monday, February 16th is at Bosquen, or Bosquen.
Boscawen. All of the.
Same bat time, 5:30. David, Jess, Stacy, Laura, Sally, Lorna.
Do you have enough?
Yep, we're good.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the 17th is right here at the high school. Same bat time. Lorna. Wow. David, Jess, Stacy, Laura, and Melissa.
Yeah, I might show, it depends. I got a thing at work, but I may.
And
We're good anyway.
Okay.
Question, please. Will this be at town offices, or where will we be?
no, at the school.
At the schools. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And can you just elaborate on what the hearing is? Is we're supposed to explain to the public what SB2 means and then hear feedback, or?
So for the official ballot referendum, otherwise known as SB2, this was petitioned by someone from the community with the appropriate number of signatures, and we have to have a hearing in each of the towns, and then it's really just about explaining what SB2 is, answer some questions if we can get it, but as far as the board's role is to hear input from the public if they have any, similar to tonight, except it's not about money, it's really just about how voting occurs. So instead of where we had the public hearing and then we vote in March at an annual meeting where we're all together, SB2 has a deliberative session, and then from that deliberative session, folks don't come back together after that deliberative session and they go to the polls to vote. So that's the kind of the difference. There's still 2 meetings. It's just how those meetings are structured. So there'll be a script, and Tracy can go through that. We'll have some information provided to describe what SB2 is and sort of the process, and then that's it. In the past, last time we had this was in 2022, and we had some of these public hearings where no one showed up, and we had some where half a dozen people showed up. So.
The last time was 2022. And there were 244 people voted, and you would have needed 146 of those in the positive, and 54 voted yes, and the rest voted no. So it didn't pass, and it can come back every couple of years.
Right, I think it's every 2 years it can.
Every 2 years.
It can come back.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Yes, Laura?
I know we're not really
Laura,
talking about
use the
tonight.
microphone.
I know we're not really talking about tonight, but we have our Article 7,
We'll be talking about that on Monday, Laura.
and I'm looking at that, and the petition warrant article contradicts it. Article 11. So what happens if they both pass or whatever? I'm just kind of wondering. You don't have to answer it tonight.
Yeah, no, we'll be talking about that on Monday.
Do you want me to answer that question?
Okay, go ahead.
So as far as the revolving fund, that's a warrant that the board is putting forth, an article that the board would be putting forth. If that passes, we would be setting up that revenue fund for that specific purpose. Regardless of what happened with Article 11, which is advisory only, we would already have that fund if that passes. Essentially, that fund is asking to take out-of-district money, so non-Merrimack Valley money, putting it in a fund and using that to do the improvements at the Merrimack Valley Learning Center, so that we're not tapping into the CIP for improvements to that building. That was the purpose of us putting that warrant forth for discussion.
Yeah, I felt like that was what we discussed in the past at our previous meetings, was we were looking for it not to impact the budget. Yep.
Okay. Next on the agenda, public comment.
Bill Hines, Bosquen. I guess I'm right on time because you were talking about the article that's got my attention. And I realize you don't want to talk about it tonight, but I got to tell you that does affect the taxpayer. You say it doesn't affect the budget, but you're taking money directly away from the taxpayer. That is revenue that would come in and lower the overall impact to the taxpayer. And I just got to say, if everything passes, we're at 6.3%. That's a lot. And this would just add to it. And I think we know it's about $490,000 for the 7 students. So that's the 100% of the revenue that I think that this is pointing to for the Learning Center. That's an impact. It's a lot. And if you live in Pennacook, there's going to be some pretty unhappy people. That's $1,100 that I saw on that sheet that they're going to go up. That's over what they paid last year. This is a poison pill to me, this particular article. Thank you.
Thank you.
Spencer Dickinson, Pennacook. Is it really only take 25 people to get a petition warrant? Is that by law, or is it
Yes.
in the charter?
Yes. No, it's by law.
By law.
Dave Hemingway Webster again. Again, to quickly mention on Article 7, a question, maybe not specific here, but with Article 7, you're talking about taking the revenues, which I just heard a number kind of spitballed. What are we talking for the actual estimated revenues per year, and what are the amounts or number of years before you're expecting to be able to use those for the improvements? Because if I remember correctly from watching the board meeting when you decided that you did want to do the improvements to the school, we were talking about millions of dollars for one particular project like the elevator. So where do those line up? Will this article even cover it, or does it just mean we're taking revenues and still not being able to do the work?
Thank you, David. Public comment is a time for you to comment. It's not a time for us to have a discussion. If you would like to reach out to either your representative or to somebody in the SAU, I would appreciate it, and we can get back to you on that. But we will also be discussing it on Monday. Anyone else? Public comment? Okay. Orna?
Our meeting on Monday is at 6,
No, it's at our normal time,
which is
6:30.
Okay, I can't keep these. I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Jessica. Motion to adjourn? We're adjourned.
Thank you.